You've been wearing cologne for 30 years and you still smell like everybody else at the table. Because two habits you picked up decades ago are quietly killing every fragrance you put on before you even leave the house. These are 7 fragrance layering mistakes that are robbing men blind. Mistake number 7. Rubbing your wrists together. Be honest. You do this every single morning without even thinking about it. Spray, press, rub, done. It's muscle memory at this point, and nobody's ever pulled you aside to tell you it's been working against you the whole time. Here's what's actually happening. When you rub your wrists together after spraying, the friction generates heat, and that heat breaks down the top notes of the fragrance before they've had a single second to perform. Top notes are the lightest, most volatile part of a scent. They're the opening impression, the thing that hits the room before you do, and they happen to be the most delicate part of the entire composition. That rubbing motion doesn't spread the fragrance. It destroys the part of it that matters most. Now layer 2 fragrances and the damage doubles instantly. Both bottles have their own top notes, their own opening character, their own carefully designed progression from first spray all the way through to dry down. A perfumer can spend the better part of a year building that journey, top to middle to base, because that sequence is the whole point of wearing it. When you rub your wrists together, you skip the first chapter entirely, and you've paid good money for a book you're never going to read from the beginning. The fix is almost offensively simple. Spray and walk away. Let it dry naturally, give it a full minute, and keep your hands to yourself. It'll feel like you're not doing enough, and that's exactly right. The less you interfere, the better it performs. Done. Moving on, because the next one hits even earlier in the morning and it's costing you more than you think. Mistake number 6. Spraying on dry, unmoisturized skin. Here's a question most men have never considered. What if your cologne isn't the problem? What if your skin is? Most men in their 50s and 60s are working with significantly drier skin than they had 2 decades ago, and dry skin and fragrance are a genuinely terrible combination. Fragrance molecules need something to grip onto. On properly moisturized skin, they bind to the hydration, slow down, and develop over time the way they're supposed to. On dry skin, there's nothing to hold on to, so they sit on the surface and evaporate. Not in 6 hours, in 2, sometimes less. And there you are, wondering why a bottle that cost you good money smells like it's gone by mid-morning. Here's where it quietly becomes a financial problem. Because the scent disappears so fast, you reach for the bottle again. Maybe twice a day instead of once. Maybe more if you're going out in the evening. Meanwhile, that exact same fragrance on moisturized skin would have carried easily through the entire day on a single application. You're burning through bottles at double or triple the natural rate and chalking it up to poor performance when the fix costs almost nothing and takes 2 minutes. Before you spray anything, put unscented body lotion on your pulse points, wrists, neck, inside of your elbows, and give it about 2 minutes to absorb. Unscented specifically, because a scented lotion throws a third fragrance into your layering combination that nobody invited. That moisturized base is the silent foundation that makes everything perform the way it should. 2 minutes every morning and your bottles will go noticeably further. That's just money you keep in your pocket. Now, what happens when you nail the prep and the combination still smells wrong on you? That's not a technique problem. That's something more personal, and it's next. Mistake number 5. Assuming what works on someone else will work on you. You smell an incredible layering combination on another man. Maybe a friend, maybe someone at a dinner. You track down both bottles, bring them home, put them on exactly the same way, and something just doesn't land. One note sits too sharp, the whole thing fades faster than expected, or it smells genuinely strange in a way you can't quite put your finger on. So you assume one of the bottles was a bad pick. Almost certainly not. That's your skin chemistry talking, and it catches experienced fragrance wearers off guard just as often as it catches beginners. Your skin isn't a neutral surface. It has its own natural oils, its own pH, its own temperature and moisture profile, and all of that interacts with fragrance in a way that's completely unique to you. A combination that smells stunning on another man can smell entirely wrong on your skin Because your chemistry reshapes how the notes develop and how long they last. Some skin types push certain notes louder than intended. Others turn specific ingredients sharp or bitter within an hour. None of this shows up in a 30-second spray at a department store counter, and none of it shows up on someone else's wrist. This is where full bottles go to waste. You buy based on how something smells on a friend, and the real story on your own skin over a few hours is completely different. It doesn't mean the fragrance is bad. It means your skin has its own opinion and it doesn't care about the recommendation. The fix is simple, but it requires patience. Test any new combination on your actual wrist and wear it for a genuine 2 hours before you form any opinion. Let the mid-notes settle, let the base come through, and get an honest read on how it performs specifically on you. Your skin will always give you the straight answer. The only question now is, what if the chemistry is fine, but the fragrances themselves just don't belong together? Mistake number 4. Mixing scent families that don't belong together. This is the one that turns men off layering for good. They pick 2 fragrances they love individually, put them on together, and the result smells like a problem. So they either quit entirely, or they keep throwing combinations at the wall and wondering why nothing sticks, never quite figuring out what they keep getting wrong. What they keep getting wrong is scent families. Not every fragrance is designed to coexist with every other fragrance. Some pairings genuinely elevate each other into something better than either one could produce alone. Others just fight on your skin from the first spray to the last, and when 2 fragrances fight, neither one wins. They both lose, and the man wearing them ends up carrying an impression he didn't intend to make. The classic wreck is a heavy, rich vanilla layered with a sharp aquatic or fresh marine scent. Both can be genuinely excellent on their own. Together, they're completely incompatible. The sweetness has nowhere to go against the crispness. The whole thing feels disjointed and unresolved, and instead of reading as a man who understands fragrance, it reads as a man who grabbed 2 bottles and hoped for the best. Some families are natural allies, and starting there is how you build confidence fast. Woody and spicy notes are partners by nature, grounded and masculine without overreaching. Citrus and woods land clean and polished in almost any setting. Amber or oriental with something slightly sweet produces real warmth and sophistication. The rule that holds across all of it is this: 1 strong note to anchor the blend. 1 softer note to add dimension. Let one lead, let the other support, and the combination makes sense. Now you've got the right pairing. But there's still one critical variable most men get backwards, and it silently ruins the whole thing every time. Mistake number 3. Getting the application order wrong. Most men who layer just spray one fragrance, then spray the other, and assume the skin will figure out the rest. It won't. Application order is one of the most important variables in the entire process, and getting it backwards is one of the quietest, most expensive mistakes on this list. Here's exactly what goes wrong. You spray the lighter, fresher fragrance first, then apply the heavier oriental or woody scent directly on top of it. The heavier fragrance buries the lighter one almost immediately. Those subtle, clean notes you were trying to carry through the blend disappear before they've done anything at all. The heavier scent dominates from the very first breath, the lighter one never surfaces, and you've wasted every spray from that second bottle. It contributed nothing. You might as well have left it on the shelf. The sequence that actually works is always heavy first, light second. Spray your densest, richest fragrance directly onto the skin. Give it about 60 seconds to start settling, and then apply the lighter one on top. The heavier scent forms the foundation. The lighter one gets the room it needs to add its character without getting smothered, and both fragrances end up doing the job you bought them to do. Think of it the way you think about putting together a sharp outfit. The main piece does the structural work, the finishing piece adds the detail. Neither one fights the other. Both show up. Get that order right, and every spray counts. Get it wrong, and half your application is gone before the day even starts. Speaking of too much going on at once, the next mistake is where a lot of men are losing money the fastest. Mistake number 2. Overspraying. Each layer. You normally wear 4 or 5 sprays of a fragrance solo, so when you layer, the instinct is to do 4 or 5 of the first and 4 or 5 of the second. Feels right. Feels like consistency. It's actually one of the most expensive habits in this entire list, and it works against you in 2 ways at once. When you layer 2 fragrances, you're stacking concentration with every single spray. Treat each layer like a full standalone application, and you end up with something so thick and overwhelming that it stops smelling sophisticated and starts smelling like an accident. It's not complex. It's just too much of everything simultaneously. And for a man walking into a meeting, a dinner, or anywhere that first impressions carry actual weight, that's the kind of thing people notice without saying anything. They just file it away and move on. You never know it happened. Then there's the pure financial side. Using twice the product every application means your bottles run dry in half the time. You're spending double to produce a result that's worse than a single fragrance applied correctly. That's not a fragrance strategy. That's just money walking out the door with nothing to show for it. When you're layering, stop counting sprays per bottle and start counting total sprays across the whole application. 3 to 4 total across both fragrances combined is the ceiling. 2 of the heavier base scent and 1 or 2 of the lighter on top, and you're done. That level of fragrance doesn't announce you from across the room. It rewards whoever gets close enough to notice, and that is actually the more powerful effect. Presence, not volume. Now, even if you've got every single one of those right, there's one mistake that overrides all of them. And it's the one that feels the most logical right up until it isn't. Mistake number 1. Layering more than 2 fragrances at once. This is the one. Everything else on this list feeds into it, and it's the reason so many men walk away from layering convinced it just doesn't work for them, even when they've been doing most of the other things right. The thinking makes complete sense at first glance. 2 fragrances create something better than 1. So 3 must be even richer. 4 even more so. More layers, more complexity, more of that signature depth you're after. It sounds logical. In practice, it produces a mess every single time, no exceptions. The nose can only process so much at once before it stops making any sense of the information. Layer 3 or 4 fragrances simultaneously and you're not building something complex and considered. You're building noise. Every fragrance competes for the same attention. Notes cancel each other out, and the whole thing collapses into one shapeless, overwhelming wall of scent that tells whoever's nearby exactly one thing, that someone didn't know when to stop. That doesn't read as refined. It reads as chaotic. And for a man who's spent decades putting together a sharp, intentional presence, chaotic is the last word you want following you out of a room. A great scent doesn't need to announce itself. It communicates something about who you are quietly, almost subliminally. It signals awareness, standard, and taste. 3 or 4 fragrances piled on top of each other signals none of those things. It signals enthusiasm without judgment, and that impression sticks. The financial math is just as unflattering. You're running through multiple expensive bottles at once to produce a result that's objectively worse than wearing 1 fragrance well. That's money out of your hands for a worse outcome. Nothing about that adds up. 2 fragrances. That's the maximum, and it's not negotiable. 1 to anchor the blend, 1 to add dimension. A well-chosen pair that genuinely belongs together will always beat a chaotic 4-bottle experiment, every time, without question. Restraint is the whole game. It always has been. If this was useful, subscribe, because there's more coming, and the next one might be exactly what you needed. Drop a comment below and tell me which mistake you've been making without even realizing it. Most men wearing cologne for decades are still making the same mistakes that kill their fragrance before they leave the house. Rubbing your wrists together destroys your top notes. Dry skin evaporates your scent in 2 hours. Copying someone else's combination ignores your own skin chemistry. Clashing scent families turn a good idea into a mess. Wrong application order buries half of what you sprayed. Overspraying doesn't make you smell better. It makes you memorable for the wrong reasons. And layering more than 2 fragrances at once creates noise, not sophistication. Fix these 7 things and your fragrance finally works the way it should.